Hello and welcome back to the Single Malt Review and our deep dive into the current core range with a little bit of extras from Waiheke Whisky. Thank you once again, Waiheke Whisky. Very, very generous to send these down for us once again. Today we are going to be looking at the Seris 2, which again we have looked at Seris Whisky before, which is constantly on the verge of tripping me up and calling it Series. And I am not alone because Waiheke's own website mislabels them as series when on their store page.
Spell checkers are going to do that. Seris from
no one
the
is immune.
Arabic name for Seris, home of sherry. Because of some very sherry-styled cask influence here.
Yes, there must have been a problem with the Moors. must have gotten into it at some point. So, that one can. I've still got the box on the table. Amateur.
Alrighty.
And so, what's the specs on this one?
Alright, this one is up to 6 years old. It is a 2018 distillation and a 2024 bottling. It is matured in two types of casks. Particularly there's Apera, the Australian sherry, and we call it Apera sherry here. Only called Apera because the name sherry is regionally protected. We've been over this before. Yep, and also shaved, toasted, and recharred, or STR, American oak, so bourbon barrels. And I can't believe it's not sherry barrels.
What the hell does that remind me of? This is, if you're anything like me, this aroma is going to hit you immediately off something.
Oh, yeah, it does indeed. I think, curiously, this has been, the wash was fermented with DV18 Saccharomyces cerevisiae. My Latin is not what it used to be, not what it ever was, in fact. But it tells me this is a beer brewing yeast.
One would have to make that assumption. Exactly which one? That seems like a rather broad description for yeast, but I suppose it's that or Carlsbergiensis. I don't know.
So we have a mixture of, it's all Gladfield New Zealand malt again. There is some peated, some unpeated.
I think it's the Gladfield thing because this has almost got a mead-like quality.
Right.
There is so much honey and honeycomb, crunchy bar, very, very malty. There's almost a burnt sugar. There's an oh no, that sugar's just starting to catch on the bottom of the pan.
The nosing notes are of glazed orange peel and citrus, I certainly agree. Spiced apple, which is a nice one, and this is ringing bells, sandalwood.
So very, very rich, very, very sweet aroma.
Sandalwood is a good one. I do burn a bit of sandalwood incense from time to time, and yeah, now that I mention it, that is helping to identify some of those unknowns which were poking at the back of my recollections.
Yeah, hokey.
Okay.
Very interesting. Right, let's see. At full strength, which isn't mega high, at 42.
42%, yeah. There's the peat.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, we didn't even mention peat in the nose, and no, it's not.
No, there's practically none there.
There's a thread of peat, but only a thread in the nose there. But yes, it does come out on the palate there.
First, there's that hint of the lush, loamy New Zealand peat. Then there's a hint of what I can describe as, I guess, dill pickle juice, which is strange. But just the vinegar and bits and pieces in the jar of pickles.
That's what I.
But then that moves through though into those other things which are more in line with the nose. There's tasty woods. There's the tasty notes here. Speak of a palate of butterscotch, raisins, fruitcake, and a subtle peat. As mine starts off with the peat, then goes into the sweeter end after moving through that sort of slightly sour, slightly pickled end of the spectrum.
I would call that really pretty characterful peat.
Then again, we're coming into this after tasting the Dyad Quartet, which was very sweet and not peated at all.
And I think I'm getting what I got from the peat and the Fairlight. You're getting it as dill pickle, and for me it's the salt and vinegar chips. It's the same sort of that acidity is definitely in charge here.
Although now my tongue has adjusted, I'm getting the citrus. There's orange peel, marmalade, bit of tangy sweet citrus.
And between that
and some caramel.
Between that, the real maltiness and the sweet refurb American oak, there's a real it's a very dynamic palate. There's an oscillation between dry and tangy and sweet and rich. And so it's
which
very
would
mobile.
normally clash if you're having them together, obviously in the same mouthful, but here just the flavours stay so distinct. It goes one to the other. It just passes the torch as it dances across your tongue.
Yeah, it is an oscillation. It is not a it's not a wobble.
Yeah, it's not like a blurred mess either. It's just one then the other. Water has smoothed it out a bit. It's more of a the sweet is a bit less sweet, the tangy is a bit less tangy. It's more, I guess, homogenized.
I like that quite a bit. This, I think, is we're getting pretty close to the, the core Waiheke style now that we'll be looking at into the future, because this is made more sustainably in terms of available casks, because refurb bourbon is nothing's cheap in the world of whiskey, but it's some of the cheaper wood you can get in terms of exposing your whiskey to next to fresh, close as you're going to get fresh Americano.
So take the old barrels, break them down to staves, use a spoke shave to slice off some of the older wood, expose the fresh timber underneath, and give it a once over with a blowtorch to re-char essentially. And so to that fresh smokiness, but still the old, well-infused wood that is the well-used bourbon barrel.
Yeah. Right, I like this quite a bit. I think the scores are going to unify here. This palette is dynamic without getting too busy. It's dynamic but still focused. It's sort of got its two modes, and it hovers between them really, really quite masterfully. I think this has been really, really well blended, as well as well distilled. So for me, goodness me, this is getting up there now. This is probably a pretty easy 88 from me.
Well, you did speak of scores harmonising, and it's 88 for me as well. Down slightly from the last couple, but it's still a very high score indeed. And this is one that'll, if you like big bombastic peat and all peat and nothing but, you'll be disappointed. The peat is subtle and measured and balanced, as is becoming the hallmark of Waiheke's style. Here it's got the fruit sherry casks and just the lively zing of the re-toasted bourbon casks. Yeah,
and as points of comparison, I flat out didn't have one for the dyad, but this is a bit easier. I will once again raise the spectre of Kilkerran, which I think this is not a total analogue of, but it definitely shares an energy with Kilkerran's normally peated malt, not the heavily peated. If people are familiar with that and enjoy it, this is very much along those lines, that dynamism on the palate, which I also compared the peated element to Fairlight to. So at least I and the whiskey are both consistent in that regard. But that's definitely where it's hitting for me in terms of where do I pin this on the map of old world distilling. That's definitely, I think, where it lives. Scrummy. That's a whiskey that knows exactly what it's doing. That's one that I think will continue to develop gradually, but this one is definitely on the path. It's at the right, I don't know, nautical analogy, something, pointing in the right direction.
Never one to really have my finger on the pulse of fashion, but this is one I could see really taking off in a huge way and becoming a staple in bars or whiskey connoisseurs' collections. It's got a very particular and a unique angle of its own, which I think will just appeal to a broad swath of whiskey lovers. So yeah, hopefully we'll see a lot more of it. Maybe like a sleeper hit where everyone just realizes one day, hey, we have a.
Well, I think becoming an all but peated producer. I think Waiheke has already made that bet, and we'll be hoping for exactly the same. Because this is peated New Zealand whiskey that is. The peat is not a gimmick. I think that is my main complaint with a lot of other peated and or smoked New Zealand whiskies is that the peat just seems like it's there. There's too much of a spotlight on it. There's not enough complexity to the whiskey beyond the peat. And this one This one's got exactly as much as it needs. Yeah. We will leave you with that one. Scores are the important thing after all, and yeah, this one I think the convergence there shows that this is a whiskey that I think will not just be an 88 for us, it'll be an 88 for most people. So there you go. Take that one all the way to the bank and buy one if that sounds like your thing. We will be back for the next one very, very shortly. We have one more to go from the box before we're into the spicy meatballs after that. So dig in and we will be right back.